Hello and welcome to another video from Attribution Gaming. Today we're going to be looking at the T54 First Prototype, or T54 Mod 1, as we can see at the top of the screen there. This is a Russian Tier 8 premium tank. It is listed as a versatile medium tank, which it is. It's pretty good at close range, though at long range it's not quite a Leopard 1 sniper with its 0.34 dispersion at 100 meters. So what we've got in this tank, we have vents, rammer and vertical stabilizers. There's some standard equipment, and as you can see here again, we don't have the best skilled crew, and that's a lot about what the videos on this channel and this community is about, which is that we don't have that much time to play the game, so we're not always running with 5-6 skilled crews. We don't have bond equipment or bounty equipment or premium consumables. So what we like to see is what is the art of the possible, or what can be done with these vehicles even with this amount of equipment and skills. So overall, not a bad vehicle. I do quite enjoy playing it. It's quite good in brawling and taking on other medium tanks with a pretty decent turret to boot. This particular tank, where we are now, we have 398 meters view range, and we have 1300 hit points with 200mm frontal armor with some quite nice sloping there. So a pretty good turret to boot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into a game, and I call this game 2 for the price of 1. So let's jump into the game and find out why. So here we are on the Pilsen map, and we can find ourselves in a match with mainly tier 8s, 5 tier 9s on there, which are mainly heavies. And so we're going to push straight over to the eastern flank, which is where most of the mediums and tank destroyers often play. We can see we've got 2 ELC tanks on both sides, and that's quite important for this side of the map, is understanding where the light tanks are and what the light tanks are doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push around the back, and I'm going to look to get some good lines of fire down the 0 line, which again is quite a common line for mediums and light tanks to push. So I want to get a nice position where I can have a good line of fire and wait and see how the battle develops with what the light tanks and even that Barask who's pushed into the middle can spot. So we know we've got plenty of support here. We've got tank destroyers across the top along with the Progetto. We've got 2 heavies behind, and straight away our ELC has spotted an enemy ELC. Now at this point I'm thinking, we can't just sit here because the ELC will just continually outspot us. So he's taken quite a lot of damage, so we're going to chase him down. This is quite difficult pushing down this path because you're often going to be outspotted by light tanks, and then you're going to be shot from tank destroyers both from the flank and from the front. So I'm just going to push straight in. It's a very aggressive play, and we take an initial hit there from the Scorpion using HE, and we find not 1 ELC but 2 ELCs. So what we decide to do is we ram one while looking to shoot the second one. So we kill the first one from ramming, and then we hunt down the second ELC. And this is why we get the video called 2 for the price of 1. We went in after 1 ELC and found a second one, and were able to finish them both off in quick succession. And there's the final ELC, and that's both light tanks down. And overall, this manoeuvre, this aggressive play down the flank, has actually secured most of the flank now. We know that the light tanks are down. We have our own ELC, which is now able to provide support along with the Barask, so we're going to get good spotting. And that aggressive play worked out for us well. And we can now see that we've got a Scorpion which hit us earlier, the C52 Liz. We bounced off the C52 there, and we're going to continue. The Skoda T50 has been killed, so we're now pretty confident that there's not much in front of us, but I am going to wait for support from the rest of the team. But we are only a couple of minutes into the game with 1100 damage, having killed both light tanks, and we get an initial shot there on the C52 with our ELC doing some great spotting there that we can get our shots off. So another shot in there. We can only see a slight bit of his tank, and we do hit the big pile of coal that he's hiding behind, but we get a second shot in. The accuracy on this tank is not too bad, but it's certainly no Leopard in the sniper department. So Scorpion is now being very aggressive, pushing up there, and we're going to move in to support him and the Su-130 PM. So overall, the game really still hangs in the balance. There's only a 1.5k HP difference in terms of the teams. We've killed 3, they've killed 4. We've lost both our light tanks, so have they. So it's still a relatively even match at this point, though we have dominated this flank. And often, you know, a game win is often about how much of the map that you do dominate. But we take a hit there from the C-52, and we managed to follow him round and get some of that back, and we're able to trade positively. So the Progetto's pushed in a Ram's autoloader, has finished off the C-52, and the Scorpion is now also down, and this flank is now totally in our control, and we're going to push on to the remaining enemy players. But there is still only a 400 hit point difference between both teams. And there we go, we've just lost one of our Tier 9 heavies, the VK, so there's still quite a lot of heavy tanks. There's still 4 enemy heavy tanks on the field. So we need to take stock, and I also know that there is a tank destroyer, the Swedish STRV, hiding somewhere, most likely in the corner on top of that hill at the back behind those bushes. So we're going to use these bushes for some concealment. We're going to come round and see if we can get a shot on those heavy tanks from the flank. So we spot the mill. Now what I want to be careful of here is avoiding the cap circle. As soon as I go in that cap circle, it announces my location. So we're going to avoid the cap circle and see who we can spot and see if we can get any flanking shots. So we're going to push around a bit further because I want to see if I can get some shots on that Emil. Emil 2 is now actually coming round to see if he can find the people shooting into the flank of his heavy tanks. We still can't see the IS-3 who's inside the building, and we turn our attention back to looking where the Emil 2 is. Now it's difficult to shoot the Emil, they've got to come forward a little bit to avoid that pillar, and we get a shot off and we actually hit his lower plate. Not the easiest of shots, but we managed to get it in and do some damage. That Emil there still obviously fairly confident in his location, and we do manage to bounce that shot off his turret, which is incredibly strong armour, but we get a second shot in, we destroy his track and do some damage. That Emil 2 then is able to finish off the Barask, and we bounce again on that incredibly tough turret. So we're going to try and keep some pressure on the Emil. He's pushing forward in his position and just letting us shoot him. And at this point we're now up to 2,700 damage in this game, and we managed to finish off the Emil for 3 kills. So the rest of our team has pushed hard now on the enemy heavy tanks and they've been able to defeat them, and this game is all but pretty much wrapped up, but there's still one thing left, that Swedish tank destroyer that we know is hiding in the bushes on top of the hill. So we're going to push forward and try and spot him, and even if we don't kill him, we'll at least get the spotting damage. Now I know that I can probably take at least one hit from him, so I'm quite confident to push up. As we push up on top of the hill, we get to see him, and we get a shot in his track, and by shooting the track, not only do we get the damage from our shot, we get the damage from the spotting and the damage from the tracking. So in the end, we finished that game with 3,500 damage combined. We got 3 kills, which was 3,000 actual damage and 765 spotting damage. And you can see the T54 First Prototype is quite a fun Tier 8 premium medium tank that you can play aggressive with. Just don't expect to be sniping at exceptionally long range, but a good gun with some decent alpha damage for that type of tank. So let's jump back to the garage. Okay, so here we are now back in the garage, and you can now see why I call this game 2 for the price of 1, in that we got 2 of those ELC scouts, both in the same location, killed one through ramming, shot the second one, and we got 2 of them for the price of 1. So overall, there you go, you can see the T54 First Prototype, low profile, not too much of a weak spot on top of the turret. Now it has 250 average damage, 190 penetration, and definitely a fun little tank to play, and thoroughly recommended if you want something that's fun and that can whiz around in the battlefield while taking a few hits and duking it out with the other medium tanks. Thanks for watching. Your support is much appreciated, so please follow us on Twitch. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why, and we'll look to improve. You've been watching Athariel Gaming. We'll see you on the battlefield.